Well, welcome everyone to our first in our series of workshops that we'll have to discuss post-secondary education options. Today, we're really excited to share some information with you from our two main local post-secondary institutions. First, we have Celeste Licorish, who is the Access Program Manager at McMaster University. And then later on, we're going to hear from Tracey Prokipczuk, who is from Mohawk, and she's an outreach advisor at Mohawk College. So without further ado, let's get started. Celeste, will you begin?
Sure, thank you so much, Anne. We're just going to try to share my screen here.
Okay.
Just give me a second, it should power up. Hitting share. Can everybody see that screen? Yay. I get so excited when this works because believe me, there are times when it just doesn't. So I'm just adjusting so that I can see the whole screen. Okay, there we go. So thank you everybody who's on this call today. It really is a pleasure to be able to share information with you about university generally. As Anne-Marie said, I work for McMaster University. I'm the Access Program Manager there. It's a special program to help underrepresented and marginalized students find pathways to university. I'm really passionate about post-secondary education and want as many students as possible to be able to access it or at least have the information to make an informed choice. So in the time that we have today, I'm going to try to advance my screen and it's not going forward. Hold on. So there we go. So we're going to cover three topics. What is university? What university can do for you, and what you need to do to get into university, assuming that most of you who are on this call or will be watching are either in elementary school or in high school. And if you're thinking about university, I want to spend some time helping you learn the types of things that you need to be doing in high school in order to get to university. So first, we're going to start with what to expect from university. So university is basically an institution of higher learning, and universities offer degrees. So when you get into university, you spend anywhere from 3 to 4 years doing the first type of degree, which is called a bachelor's degree. So you either get a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science degrees. Those take 3 to 4 years to complete. If you decide to continue with university after that and get a more advanced degree, you spend another 1 to 3 years getting what's called a master's degree or a Master of Arts. And then if you want to go even further, and this is usually for people who want to either become professors or have really detailed advanced work in an area of study, they'll get a PhD or a doctoral degree. Those can take anywhere from 3 to 7 years to complete and take a lot of research. So that in a nutshell are the types of degrees that you get. A lot of universities also offer professional degrees. So you can become a lawyer at university after you've done your bachelor's degree. You can go into a law profession, or you can go into med school and get a medical degree, or dentistry or architecture. So it's usually universities that will offer these three main types of degrees, and then some universities will also offer professional degrees on top of that. So what are the benefits of a university education? Why would you go? Here's just a quick list of some of the things that you can get from university. You learn skills for the future. You have much better career opportunities, generally speaking, than if you just finish high school and do nothing else. If you go to university, your career options are better. Also, generally speaking, you'll earn more money. You can become a lifelong learner. You get more stability and security, and studies show that if you have a university education, because you get to have more money and security and things like that, you generally will tend to have better health and a longer life. Some of the key skills that you get when you go to university are critical thinking, writing, leadership, and teamwork. The three that I've highlighted here, critical thinking, communication, and problem solving, are the three that generally universities have done a study to say that these are the skills of the future. So we need people who have critical thinking skills, who are excellent communicators and excellent problem solvers, and you get all of that and more when you get a university degree. I want to put emphasis on this one. So generally speaking, more education means higher pay. And there was a study done in the States that said if you have no high school diploma, and this is in American dollars, you could make an average of $451 a week. With a bachelor's degree, you're going to make at least $1,000 a week. And if you get a professional degree, you can make anywhere upwards of $1,665 a week. Now, of course, there are other trades and professions where you can make a lot of money. Like if you're a social media influencer or a NBA basketball star, you can make a lot of money. But generally speaking, if you can get a university education over the course of your lifetime, you stand to make more money than you would if you just got your high school diploma. One of the degrees that you can get at McMaster or at universities generally is called a humanities degree or a general arts degree. And this is just a list of some of the professions or some of the careers that you can have if you go through and get a humanities degree. So it can lead you to become a career advisor, a history professor, a communications consultant, an entrepreneur, a lawyer, an event planner. You can even be somebody like me. I have a humanities degree. My degree is in philosophy, and I got it from McMaster many, many years ago. But if I didn't have that degree, I really wouldn't have the job that I have now, where I get to help students think about what their post-secondary pathways can look like. And for a long time, I mean, I've never used philosophy as part of the skill set that I use when I'm working, but all of the thinking and planning and communication skills have really helped me in my career journey. Employability. So 94% of university graduates are employed 2 years after graduating. And of those, 89% of graduates are working in jobs that are closely or somewhat related to their degree. So there's a high degree of employability. And as the world becomes increasingly competitive, having a university degree, a BA after your name, gives you a competitive advantage when people are screening for jobs, even basic entry level jobs. If you have a university degree and have a BA or BSc after your name, it really makes a difference when employers are looking to hire people. So how are universities structured? Most universities across the country and across the world have 5 different major programs that they offer. So you can go to arts, humanities, or social science as one group, physical and engineering sciences is another group, life or health sciences is a third one, business or commerce, and then, as I mentioned earlier, some schools that have the professional studies like law, medicine, teachers college, or midwifery, each school will have their specialized programs. So McMaster, for example, has specialized programs in midwifery, and we also have a medical school. We do not have a school of architecture. We do not have a law school. So not all schools offer all professional degrees, but most universities will have arts, that physical and engineering sciences, life and health sciences, and business and commerce. So how do you learn at university? So right now, most of you that are listening will be in high school and you'll go to class. Well, now with COVID, you're not really going to class, but you're attending classes with your teachers remotely in a classroom. But at university, we tend to have lectures and tutorials and labs. So the traditional methods of learning at university is that you will go to lectures 3 or 4 times a week, and then 1 or 2 for an hour, sometimes up to 3 hours, depending on the course. And then you'll have tutorials at separate times and your labs at separate times if you're in the sciences. You tend to have about 15 hours of in-class coursework per week, but you spend a lot of time outside of that studying and preparing and reading and doing a lot of homework and labs and work. So when you look at the schedule, I'm just going to skip over to a sample McMaster timetable. So this is from Health Sciences timetable, where this timetable has about 15 to 17 hours of work in it per week when you're actually in classes. And there's all that gray space is sort of what we could call free time, but it's really not free because there's an awful lot of work that you have to do for every hour of your coursework. So even though it looks like you have a lot of spare time, you really have to discipline yourself when you're in university to spend that time wisely so that you're prepared for the lectures and the coursework and the exams when they come up. So now I want to spend a bit of time talking about how to get into university. So to get into most universities in Ontario and Canada, you need an Ontario Secondary School diploma, which is your grade 12 diploma that you get after 4 years of high school. You need at a minimum grade 12 English at the U or M level. So when you're looking at your courses, sometimes they'll have like ENG for C something, but the C ones don't get you to university. The courses that you need to be taking will have a U or an M in them, and you need 6 of those, including English generally, to get into university. And there's usually a required minimum standard of marks that you need to get. So marks are really important to get into university. At McMaster, our minimum cutoff is a 74% average, 74 to 75% average, and it goes up from there. So for example, if you wanted to get into an engineering program, the cutoff for engineering is anywhere above 87%. For specialized programs like our Bachelor of Health Sciences, the cutoff generally starts in the low 90s. So generally I tell students, when you're studying, you're trying to get the highest marks you can in high school, because the higher your marks, the better your chances of getting accepted at a university. And each university has their own requirements. Some aren't as stringent as McMaster, others are a little bit more lenient, but generally if you want to get into a really good university, you need to get the highest marks you can. So this last part of the presentation, I'm going to go sort of grade by grade what you need to be thinking about if you think that university is a pathway for you. So if you're in grade 8, at some point this year, you're going to get a sign-up sheet that's preparing you for grade 9. And on that sheet, they will have some courses outlined for you. You want to make sure that you have signed up for academic courses for grade 9. And I've put sort of the top 3, because there'll be lots of courses that you can take, but math, science, and English at the codes as they're written here. So math, MPM1D1, science, SNC1D1, and English, ENG1D1. Those are the prerequisites that will allow you to begin to be on the path to university. You sign up for these in grade 8 and you take them in grade 9. When you get to grade 9, one of the most important things you have to do, whether you look at Career Cruiser or whatever your way of looking at your course timetable is to make sure that you're still registered in those courses. Sometimes students will sign up for academic courses, and then the summer comes and goes and they get to school and all of a sudden they're not in the courses that they thought they were signed up for. So make sure that the courses that you signed up for are the ones that you're still in grade 9. The second most important thing you have to do once you hit high school is to learn how to learn. So if you're setting yourself up for success at university, high school is a very good place to learn how to learn. Learn what your weaknesses are, learn what your strengths are, learn how to ask for help, learn how to be wrong but not be embarrassed, just to course correct, and to develop and practice good study habits. And I'll just give you one little hint, like things like having a notebook so that if you know that you have a list of things to do, even if you're just writing down at the end of each of your classes, here are the things that I have to review tonight, and then reading over your notes, you begin to develop and practice good study habits in grade 9. That will help you all the way through to university. And then also in grade 9, at the end of grade 9, you'll be signing up for grade 10 courses. You have to make sure that you're signing up again for grade 10 for math, science, and English, but at the 2D1 level. So the end markers will have 2D1 at the end of them for the academic courses for grade 10. Once you're in grade 10, again, you'll be checking your timetable to make sure that the academic courses you've chosen are there. And grade 10 is also a good time to start talking to your trusted helpers, parents, mentors, coaches about your interests, strengths, and areas to improve. So if you're beginning to really love math or really love English, and you're beginning to think about, wow, I could spend a lot of time writing essays, or I'd really like to learn more about what cells do. Begin to think about those kinds of things as you begin to think about what university could look like for you. And again, it's important to continue to develop those good study skills and habits. In grade 11, things change a little bit. So instead of signing up for grade 11 or grade 10, 11 academic courses, your course codes will change. They will have a U or an M in them. And it's really important to pay attention to those, again, for English and math. So if you're on the university pathway, you want to make sure that you're signing up for English 3U1 and math MCR 3U1. Science changes in grade 11. So instead of just being science, it's biology, chemistry, physics. So if you're taking all 3 of those, that's great. It becomes a little bit more detailed, but make sure that you're looking at those course codes that have a U or an M in them so that you're getting the right coursework. And grade 11 is also a good time to begin to do some research into different universities. So hit up your guidance office and get university books, go online, start doing some research. Most universities are interested only in your grade 12 marks, but there are a few universities that will consider your grade 11 marks for early offers of admission. And when you're in grade 11, you're also going to be thinking about choosing your grade 12 courses based on the programs that you're thinking about for university. So say, for example, you decide that you want to go into engineering. When you're in grade 11, you want to make sure that you're taking all of the courses that you're going to need in grade 12, that you're signing up for: physics, chemistry, all three maths. Make sure that you're looking at what the requirements are for entry into the program that you want to get into, and that you're sort of working backwards to make sure that you have those courses in grade 12, so that when you go to apply to university, you have the prerequisites. And I put in bold here: always, always, always do grade 12 English at the university level. If you want to do something like a humanities degree, as long as you have grade 12 university English and 5 other university level courses, it doesn't really matter what they are, but that grade 12 English with a fairly decent mark and an overall average of a 75 will mean that you can get into something like humanities or social sciences. If you're really afraid of university, but you want to go, humanities and social sciences are 2 of the least difficult programs to get into at McMaster. And then in grade 12, that's when you really have to sort of say, okay, I'm committed, I'm going to be going to university. You want to choose the programs and the universities that you want to attend. You want to make sure that you've registered, at least registered, because you won't have taken all of the courses that you need to get into university by the time you start grade 12, but you will have finished them by the end of grade 12. So it's important to make sure that you've signed up for all the prerequisites. Then you apply to university between November and January. You use the Ontario University's application center called UWAC, and there's a website for the UWAC that you sign up for. You pay a fee, you choose 3 or 4 universities and the programs that you want to sign up for. And then the other thing that I'm going to recommend is that you begin to think about how to pay for university. University costs per year anywhere between $7,000 and $14,000 per year, depending on the program that you're in. So it's a good idea to start researching OSAP, so that's an Ontario Student Assistance Program, and to start looking at scholarships, bursaries through your guidance office and on university websites. You can also call people like me who work in universities to find out information about how to pay for university, and go from there. And I think that's pretty much where I wrap it up. So I'm going to stop here and say thank you so much for listening. Those of you who go to Homework Circle, some of you may have met me, but I'm in virtual office hours on the last Wednesday of every month. And I think my next date is October 28th, but for those of you who are watching this and it's after October, I will be in again. So feel free to either send me an email or connect with our friends at Empowerment Square to get in touch with me directly. And good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. That was really informative. And I know there's a couple of our participants that are here right now that are actually in grade 11. Do you have any questions, participants in high school right now, about what Miss Celeste said? Or something you've been thinking about?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if I didn't cover it and you have a question about it, go for it.
Oh, I think someone's typing in the chat. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Helen. You're very welcome.
Okay, and you might, and like Miss Celeste said, that she's going to continue to join us. Oh, looks like more chatting. But anyway, she's going to continue to join us later on. So if you think of questions afterwards, no problem. We can, she can address them then. And throughout our presentation today, if anyone has questions, feel free to type them in the chat and we will be sure to address them, whether they are covered in the topic of discussion or if it's something else that you have a question about. Oh, here we go. We have our first question from Kelvin to everyone. Hi. What is the difference between college and university? That's a great question, Kelvin. So maybe well, we have two experts that can answer that question. So maybe Celeste, you can talk a little bit more about the university side, and then Tracy can talk about the college side. And then I'm sure more of your questions will be answered after Tracy's presentation as well. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, Tracy, feel free to correct me if I go totally off the rails with this, but I tend to think of university as being a more theoretical and less applied way of advancing knowledge. So at university, you get detailed education. You can get very practical skills. So if you go right through university and become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, you will have very practical skills and a profession, a regulated profession that you're going into. Generally, the way and the types of things that you learn at university are much more theoretically based than you would find they are at college. So if you love English and you love language and you love words, you're going to go into the history of language. You're going to read tons and tons of books. You're going to write extensive essays, but you wouldn't necessarily know how to write a book at the end of it. So it's not giving you like the practical, here's how you do this particular thing, but you're gaining a wealth of knowledge on a particular subject that you really care about. And you could always take that information and go and write a book, and you'll have those skills that I sort of listed off, the critical thinking, the communications, the teamwork, that kind of thing. But you don't come away saying, I know how to build a box, or I know how to do a specific thing. If that's sort of a general way of putting it for the university side.
Yeah, thank you, Celeste. Actually, you nailed it right down. We often say that the difference is the theory. So with what we are doing, we're teaching more of that hands-on approach. So for example, in our quality engineering diploma program, you would learn how to do an actual X-ray of maybe a nuclear reactor, where there would be like just a lot of different ways that you would learn. And we cover off everything so that you could be a mechanic. You could be into the skilled trades. We do have writing programs. So we have journalism. So you would learn to be an actual journalist. We do have the professions as well. So we do have a Bachelor of Science Nursing. So again, we're combining the hands-on with the theory. And our Bachelor of Science Nursing is with McMaster specific as well too. So we do have a lot of programs that overlap. We also have a way of students learning so that they can then advance into the university stream. And that's something that we're seeing a lot of as well too. And employers are looking for both the college as well as the university stream. And that's pretty well the difference, I would say. If anything, we're really just the hands-on portion to going off to university. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy and Celeste. It seems like we answered Calvin's question. And Calvin, thank you for having the courage to ask the question in this forum. Feel free throughout the rest of the session today to ask your questions, or like I said, we will have access to both of these experts later on if you have questions after the session. And thank you, Celeste, for sharing more about university. You gave us a lot of good tips. For me, my takeaway was we need to learn how to learn. And I think that can be applied to both of our post-secondary institutions. Once we know how, the rest becomes a little bit easier, really, because then you can express to others how they can help you to learn, right? Okay, so now let's move on. So we've heard about university. Now let's move on to college. So once again, we have Tracy. He taught me, but I need to learn how to learn. So you did. Prokipczuk.
Yes,
Tracy,
that's it.
Awesome. Okay. And she is the outreach advisor at Mohawk College in Hamilton, and she's going to share more information about herself and Mohawk.
Yes.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yes, and I'm just going to share my screen, so bear with me. Let's make sure this works. Okay, and everybody sees my screen properly? You have to bear with me. I'm on 3 screens, so I'm just all over the place here. I want to just kind of talk about what my role is and how I help. So we take everybody who maybe doesn't even have an idea of what they want to do, And that's a big piece that we get. So even though you do your grade 10 and 11 and grade 12, we're right in guidance with a lot of our local schools here in Hamilton. And we're right in the guidance office. And you can speak to us, you can ask for our information, and we can help you and guide you to programming. Sometimes there's programs that aren't even offered at Mohawk College, and we will guide you to the college that they are at. So for example, if it's firefighting that you want to learn, we know that that's at Fanshawe. So we would help out and direct you there. So it's not always everything being driven to Mohawk. And I want to make sure that you understand that's kind of part of our access and how we help people to move around as well too. Some of the other things that we will do, again, if there is something that maybe you've done essential learning and you do want to move into maybe general arts and science so that you can eventually go off to university. Again, we will help you and guide you from the essential learning to the following programs to help guide you there. I'm going to start in on what we are talking about today, which is the skilled trades. So I'm going to start with skilled trades, and it's just more or less what are the options. And so the options that you do have is the apprenticeship and trades. And how do you get there? One of the biggest programs that we talk about for any of our high school students is the OEAP program. And that program is offered at the high school level. So please talk to your guidance counselors, because this could save you a full year and allow you to go into a higher level of apprenticeship. So let me back this up just a little bit more. What is apprenticeship? So an apprenticeship is where you are finding an employer. How do you do that? If you've already gone through the OEAP program, the person that you are working with, maybe it's a mechanic, maybe it's truck and coach, anything like that, you could end up employed by them. They then register you with the ministry, and that's just registering you with the government. Then from there, the government tells us, the college, when we're going to teach something and what needs to be taught. Then they send you a letter and tell you when you're going to go to school. The best thing about apprenticeship, you're constantly working. So you could be working for 5 years. In your first year, you could go to school for 8 weeks. You are technically laid off during those 8 weeks, so you're still collecting money. You get employment insurance during that period of time. So you get paid to go to school, which is amazing. Then we turn around and we come back and you go back to work and you get a bit of a raise because now you're classed as another level. And we do this again, another year later, you go back to school, again, you're paid, you come back from that education, and remember, you're paid during it, you get a little bit of a raise again, because now you're at an even higher level. Eventually, you're going to be at a level 3 apprentice. And at that point, you will have completed everything you need to complete. And you can then turn around and say, I'm going to write the test. And you write what's called a certification of qualifications. And I tell you, you can't go wrong with that. Once you are a certified electrician, plumber, even a refrigeration mechanic, a car mechanic, any of these trades. And I'm only listing the trades, by the way, that are kind of more on the mechanical side. There are service trades as well. So hairdressing is a trade as well. So keep these in mind, talk to your guidance counselors. But once you get to that level, if you pass with a 75% or higher, actually it's between a 70 to a 75% or higher in a red seal trade, you could work anywhere in Canada. So you're not limited to just working in Ontario at that point. You could go work in Alberta, you could go work in BC, you could work on the East Coast. It doesn't matter. You could work anywhere in Canada. which is just amazing. So now you've got all the skill, turn around, open your own company. Now you could really be making some money. And what did we do to add on to all of that? Well, of course, we couldn't stop there. We said, maybe we need some business, something with business after this. So we turn around, now we do have a degree program so that anybody who is a certified CFQ can also go into a degree, and that way you get your business side. And once you have that, you can run your own business. You don't need it right away, but it is something to really help you, to guide you through running your own business. So I think there's a lot to be said. Even working for a company, it's not unheard of to make at least $100,000 a year in the skilled trades. Running your own business, well, it's how much you want to work and how many people you want working for you. Some of these companies, Shipton's has started out with just a single person and eventually grew a corporation, well, a company out of it. That, I think, is pretty well everything that I would say about the apprenticeship. And again, talk to guidance. Guidance has all the information. If not, we do have a hub now with Mohawk College, and it is our apprenticeship hub. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody there, or you can reach out to me directly. I'm going to pause for a quick second and see if anybody has any questions about apprenticeship. Is there any questions? No? Okay. Then I will move into the next part of my presentation, which is about the mainstream of the college. So we are looking at right now 86% of Mohawk grads that are successfully employed within 6 months. And most of our students do get employed into what they have studied. So for example, if you study social service work, you will be employed as a social service worker. If you go into mechanical engineering, most likely you will get involved with either something in robotics or into mechanical itself. So even our business streams, you would end up in something within the business sector. And we do have at least 170 full-time programs to choose from. That's just out of Mohawk College alone. So when you add that we have 24 colleges in the college system, we have well over 2,000 programs that are unique and specific to the actual colleges. Okay, so what do you need to get there? And I know this is one of the things that we cover over and over again, but please complete that OSSD. If for whatever reason the OSSD doesn't work, maybe you age out, because we do see that happens, so that we have people who age out of the high school system. Then you could obtain a GED or do academic upgrading. And all the colleges also offer the academic upgrading. ESL upgrading, so we are definitely looking for a level 7 benchmark. We will accept for some of our programs, not everything, because as soon as we go to health sciences, we cannot accept it, but we will take the benchmark 7, so the CLB PT testing. We will take that level 7. Otherwise, check the academic requirements, and of course, how do you pay for this? Now, one thing that I can say about the college system is it is a little bit less expensive. So you're usually looking at about $2,500 per semester. I know, see Celeste, I tell you. So you're looking at about $2,500 per semester and upwards of about $5,000 for a year until we get over to the Bachelor of Science Nursing or medical radiation. And then that's when it becomes the regular university pricing. And how are you going to pay for that? Again, OSAP, we have a lot of bursaries. There's the Hamilton Foundation. We use as much as we possibly can from community as well. as what we do have. So the college itself has upwards of over $3 million just for bursaries. So we do have a lot of access to money. And pay attention to deadlines. I can't stress this enough, especially when somebody's looking at our health science programs. You have to have your application on the system by February 1st for a September intake. So I talk to a lot of students in the high schools and I say, you know what, spend some time in October looking through the application process. In November, December, do it over your Christmas break. Make sure it's done. Then come back to us and we can always help you out. If, you know, January happens and you still don't have that done yet, we can help you. And in some situations too, because we are access-based, we do have an ability to have a voucher so that if payment for that actual application, you can't pay the $95 for Ontario colleges, we can help you and we can assist with that as well too. So please, please keep that in mind. And then organize yourself. Make sure you, yep, go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Tracy, we had a question before we move on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Celeste answered it in the chat. Somebody was asking, what is a bursary?
Oh, excellent. Yes, good point too. Yes, bursaries, and I always explain it as free money. So for OSAP, just so that you're aware, OSAP can provide you with that free money, which is a bursary. If you don't make it through the first 30 days, that bursary could change back over to a loan and you may have to pay it back. So please always keep that in mind as well, that some bursaries that if you don't make it through that first semester, you may have to pay back. So bursaries traditionally are free money. And again, just keep everything organized, keep all your documents together, and please remember your passwords. We do a lot of password resets. And how do we learn at Mohawk? And I think this is something that has been definitely changing as we are moving through COVID. But for the most part, we're still running our labs. So what we've had to do is for some of our programming right now is we've had to suspend it because we can't have that many people in our labs. We keep our labs small anyways. Lab size is usually 21 and under. But in this situation, like I said, because of COVID and the cleaning in between, we have to keep everything a little bit lower. Then we also have blended learning. Now, this was a traditional model that we've always used where either some or part of the programming is online and some and part of it is in a classroom. With COVID, a lot of what we have been able to do is put everything online. And I think every school is seeing this at this point. But we still do have the odd thing that has to be done in a classroom. We also teach through co-op. And this is a model that has been part of the college system for years and years, is that there is paid placements. So a lot of times that's for our engineering programs, and you could get anywhere from minimum wage right up to about $26, $27 an hour. And you could be out for a full year. So you're getting a lot of experience when you're coming through the college system. Field and clinical placements. Traditionally, that's in ECE, early childhood education. That's also in nursing, areas like that, where you are provided a placement and you're out with, you know, a ECE center, anything like that. And in the nursing, you're in the hospitals or you're in a nursing home. So you're getting relevant hands-on experience. It is not paid for. Just so you know, you are not paid when you're in a field clinical placement. And a lot of the times field and clinical placements are mandatory. So you must complete them in order to get your program. And then of course we offer fully online. More so now than ever before. Okay. Yep.
Another question before we move on. We have a question that's asking, what does a co-op placement mean?
Oh, so that means that you are going to work for an employer. So for example, if it is, say you're in civil engineering technology, you could be working for Toronto. So the municipality of Toronto, you could be employed by the city working in civil engineering. Does that help? Yeah. Okay, perfect. I can't see the chats, so I apologize. How we learn, what program areas. So we do have the 6 areas. We have the health area, which is our biggest and most demanding, because that's where Mohawk and McMaster really work side by side, and we work directly with each other. So that's our Bachelor of Science Nursing, our medical radiation, and any of our other programs, we have our building that is right on McMaster's property. So oversubscribed always. A lot of it for practical nursing, you must have 90s. In the Bachelor of Science Nursing, yes, we are looking for those U programs. So we are looking for the university level. Same with medical radiation. We are looking for the U levels. Moving from health, our next popular one is technology. And technology, we have everything for all the engineering pieces. We have computers, we have robotics, we have the 3D printing, and it's not your traditional 3D printing. I can tell you a quick story about a thumb that I actually followed through the 3D printing model. Yes, I said an actual thumb. So we had a lady who had lost her thumb, and one of her biggest complaints was that she couldn't write with all the other prosthetic thumbs that she had. We made a really beautiful one out of titanium. We allowed her to do some of the design to it and everything else. And the only cool thing that was really kind of neat was that it went down to our Stony Creek campus, where they used a drill press on either side to set the screws. So she was able to screw this thumb onto where it needed to be, and then she could tighten it up when she wanted to write. And then if she wanted to go out and garden, she could loosen it off a little bit, put a glove on, and out gardening she'd go. So those are the pieces that we are doing. We've had the Mars rover. We've did a 3D print for a wheel there. So we've done a lot of really interesting, and that's where our research and design is going, is in that direction. So that's under our technology. Community services. So again, we do a lot with the police forces. We have police foundations. We have, trying to think of all the ones, ECE, early childhood education, EA, like we have so many different ones that fit into our community services. And that's where we are working within our community. Skilled trades, I've already talked about plumber, carpenter, you name it. We've got all those pieces. Business program. A little fun fact, I originally took business, and I honestly have to say it was my business diploma from Mohawk that has always landed my jobs for me. It is absolutely amazing. I have now tied that onto a Bachelor of Education. So I did fulfill my, kind of backed up what I'd already knew with a degree from Brock. So communication arts, there's another one where we have phenomenal people who have gone off to work for Google. We had one who was a photographer, and he was just taking headshots for lawyers, and he got picked up by Google, and now he's making millions and millions of dollars. Like it's wild how people get to where they need to go. Like it's just amazing. Our preparatory studies, and this is a big one, and we see a lot of people who have come through from high school. They're working with essential learning, and we've got programming that we can help you from essential learning into mainstream, into whatever. Like once we get you through the preparatory studies, it just opens up the whole world to people. And we have those areas for pre-health. We have pre-media, art and design foundations. I love art and design foundations because if anybody wants to go into graphic arts, we work with you so that you can make a portfolio, and that's in a prep program. And then you go from there and you can just branch out, but you've already got that portfolio made. It's awesome. And then continuing education. I started my life off with continuing education, and here I am full circle right back there, and taking a still programming, constantly upgrading, and our continuing education is just awesome. I took my gas licenses through continuing ed, and I am now taking developmental psychology. So there's so much to be said. So continuing education is always there. Our prep studies, like I said, mechanical techniques, that might be another area too for anybody who's looking at that apprenticeship piece too. So look at the welding, look at plumbing, look at electrical, look at everything that we have to offer through mechanical techniques. It may be the stepping stone that you need to move on. Admission requirements. I know this one's really tough. Grade 12, it is the high school that we are looking for, and we are looking at the college level for most of our programs, but I won't say for all of them because some of them we take essentials. Most of them we will take university. So if you do university level, we will accept the university level in the college programming. Language proficiency, again, I've talked about this with the CLBT and the IELTS, TOEFL. In some programs, we specifically ask for the IELTS over a TOEFL, or the TOEFL will take for basically anything. But there is sometimes, and again, that's on our health programs. Academic upgrading, continuing education. I'm going to skip through some of this, go to the math requirements. And if you're looking at engineering, please, please, please do grade 12 math. Hang in there. I can't stress this enough. Hang in there. It doesn't matter if you think we don't need math. At some point, you may need it. You may come to the ripe age of 35 to maybe 55. And all of a sudden you do a career change because what you've always done no longer exists. And we're seeing some of that through COVID, and we're seeing that through retail. We're seeing that through a lot of things. So hang in there, take that math, because one day you may just actually use it when you change careers. Sciences, if you're definitely into engineering and to the skilled trades, believe it or not, would really benefit from the physics, and that's usually for electrical. So a lot of mechanics now, a little bit of a struggle with the electrical components because of the lack of math and physics. And then international credits we do definitely look at, and it's the ICAS or WES, and we also use the University of Toronto. So if there's ever a point where a parent or a relative or somebody who wants to go into any of our programming, if they have something from home country, please go through ICAS or WES, and we will take a look at what you have. The language proficiency, I keep touching on this, but here it is spelt completely out. Again, that CLBT, we are definitely looking at the minimum 7, and that's a 7 in all categories. It is not accepted in pharmacy, Bachelor of Science Nursing, RPN, which is the Registered Practical Nurse to Bachelor of Science, or the DCS, which is the Diagnostic Cardiosonography programs. But it is offered at the Y. It is free. They do it there, and then we will accept it for the other programming that I was talking about. The IELTS, again, a 6, can't have anything lower than a 5.5. Pharmacy tech, though, again, slightly different. And this isn't us who are setting these pieces. It's not what we are asking for. There is a governing body over pharmacy that is very specific and wants that language proficiency. Bachelor of Science and DCS, and that's a 7 overall score, nothing lower than a 6.5. And then again, Here we are with the diagnostic cardiosonography, and the score is a 98. International credit assessments. Please, if you are going to use this to get into a specific program, please, please, please note that it doesn't happen overnight. And this is where we get caught up a lot of times. This takes some planning. So if you are using it, again, it's a family, it's a relative member, please make sure that that is done and you plan for it, because it does not happen overnight. And this is the English upgrading the link. So we do have link at Mohawk, but we also have link out in the community as well. And this isn't so much for the student who's currently in high school. This is more for somebody who is thinking about coming to college at some point. And you just need to work on the link and get your programming up. So again, this is offered out in the community as well as at the college. And one of the really cool programs that they do is for the youth. So if you are new to Canada or you know somebody who is new to Canada, please try to come into the photography project. It is absolutely amazing. And some of the pictures that are done, and we always, well, non-COVID times, we always had them posted in the hallways and stuff too at the college. So really unique program. And then if you want to get into Mohawk very quickly and you want to accelerate everything, you can take the General Arts and Science English for academic purposes. It is done in the two different forms. It can be done for international students as well as permanent residents. You do pay for this. It's regular payment, regular fees. So it'd be the $2,500 per semester. And it is accelerated. So you will go through this very quickly, and then you'll be able to get into the program of your choice. Covering the cost of the education, we have some really unique program, which is called Mo Money. And it's a resource center. I know everything's got to have Mo to it because it's Mohawk. And Mo Money is, they help you with that financing. They help you with those budgets. They help you make sure that you don't come out of school with debt. And that is the biggest thing that the colleges, especially Mohawk, strives for. We don't want you coming out of school in debt. We want you to be able to pay this off quickly so that you can enjoy the next phase, which is buying a house, right? Here's all about the OSAP. And a single person earning less than $20,000 a year may be eligible for up to $12,000 for 8 months. That's $1,500 per month. Keep in mind, everybody is different and everything does change. So you've got to make sure that when you're doing your applications that you follow and do everything correctly. And again, if you don't make it past the first 30 days, that could be a bursary and you may have to pay that back. Please don't fall into that. And then the supports that we offer at the college. We have counselors, we have social workers, and we have caseworkers. At the college, I should say we have counselors and we will help, but this is supports that are out in the community. And again, you can find them everywhere. So family and spouse and children and friends, like there's so much support for everybody. Classmates and peers, student services, so student services within the high school, student services at the college. Teachers, instructors, ask questions of your teachers. I don't think there's a person that I don't run into that I don't ask. How did you get your job? What did you do? What's your background? What's your education? Like, I swear I have this little checklist that I just go through, just so ask. Student recruitment. And don't be afraid to approach us. Like, we're all here to see at the end of the day, somebody get help. And it doesn't matter If it's off to another college or off to us, we will definitely help you. And then we also offer student success advisors as well. So every program area also has further support as well. Not sure what program? This is where I come in. And this is what I do mostly, is I help you find what's right for you. And we do have program career tools available, and you just go through and then you can contact me and ask me questions about those programs. Most likely I know somebody who's either gone through them or somebody who can help you. And then check out our open house. We've done everything virtual now, and we have recorded every session, and we have everything on our website for you to view. And then this is where I come in again, education advisor, and I can help you with career assessments, applications, prep, upgrade, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just shoot me a text and I can help. And there's my information. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking now because that seemed like a very long time.
No, not a lot. It was lots of great information. So thank you, Tracy. Similar to Celeste's presentation, super comprehensive. Do we have any questions about Mohawk or course selection, anything? No? Okay. If you, again, the chat is always open, so feel free. Oh, here we go. What is the difference between a bursary and a scholarship? Oh, that's a great question. Tracy, how about I throw that to you?
A lot of times scholarships are based on grades, and that's where usually there's something there. A bursary can be from a donor who says, okay, everybody with brown eyes gets $1,000. It could be anything, and it's donor based. So that's the difference, but both of them are definitely free money.
Okay. Thank you. That was a great question. Keep them coming. We're going to continue with the program though. And we're now going to talk about IB, right, Priya? All righty. Okay. And you're welcome for answering the questions. Keep coming if you have questions. Okay. So we talked about post-secondary, so meaning after high school. We talked about the option of going to university. We talked about the option of going to college. Now we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about alternative high school programs. Okay, so while you are already in high school, most of us tend to know the usual path. So either go to public secondary education or go to secondary education, or maybe even French, the French path. But there's another way, and we have two lovely people who are going to chat with us about it, and I will also share my insight as well. Any conditions for, oh, okay. Dalal, we'll answer your question in 1 minute. So I'm just going to finish the introduction of Celeste and Ariel. So Ariel just joined us. She is Ariel Licorish. She is a student within the IB program. IB representing International Baccalaureate. Okay. And she's the daughter of Celeste, who can share her parental perspective, and Ariel can share her student perspective, and I can share my experience as a teacher because I also taught within an IB school. Just before we continue that chat, there was a question about scholarships. Are there any conditions for scholarships?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's always conditions for scholarship.
Yeah.
There's
So,
usually application processes and deadlines, and sometimes there's essays and there's marks. It depends on the scholarship, and it depends on the criteria and the amount. So my experience has been that the higher the amount or value of the scholarship, the more you have to do or have achieved to qualify for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully that answered your question, Dalal. If you have more questions about scholarships, you can ask us later on in the chat. We're still here. Okay, so without further ado, let me pass it on to Celeste or Ariel. Who wants to chat first?
About IB generally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I can start.
Okay.
So the International Baccalaureate program is, as Anna Marie was saying, it's sort of a specialized high school diploma that you can earn by taking, and especially here in Hamilton, you can take your last 2 years of high school as an International Baccalaureate student. So you cover all of the work that you would do in grade 11 and 12 over 2 years in a specific way. So it's not like you're taking the courses in the same order that you would necessarily take them if you're doing your OSSD, but you're covering, say, biology, chemistry, physics, English over that 2-year period. And most of the courses that you take, you'll write one big exam for each of those subjects at the end of 2 years. So you're kind of studying over the whole time. So it's different. It's set up that differently that way. It's more or less a college prep or university prep course. So the level and intensity that you're learning from grade 11 into grade 12 is more akin to what you're doing in first year university than it is to typically what you would be doing in high school. So it's, I'm going to say, and Ariel can correct me if I'm wrong, kind of demanding and intense, but really gives you a full way of understanding your subject matter. So you're not going to come out of IB biology not knowing what a cell is or does or all of the parts in excruciating detail. When we heard about the IB program, it happened that my daughter had signed up for an enriched English class in grade, was it grade 9?
Yeah, it's grade 9.
Yeah, in grade 9 enriched English. And because she was in that course, they handed out this paper to say,
Can I say something?
yeah, hold on, Ariel wants to say something.
So basically, like, pretty sure you guys have learned.
Gotta move up a
Oh,
little bit.
you like harvesting. I'm pretty sure you guys have learned about like applied, academic, locally developed. So enriched, at least at my school, they offer it for 2 subjects. So it'd be math and English. There's another level called enriched. And basically, it just goes more in depth with things. You learn like a little bit more. So say I did enriched English. So I think the biggest difference is that there's a little bit more freedom of what we could do a little bit. And then also it taught us one thing, which like how to cite our work, which they didn't necessarily teach in academic. Like citing, not in like you're just putting in links, like actual formatting and how you do that. That was like the biggest thing, not that big of a deal. But if you want to do IB, basically they recommend that you do that just because for math, at least, the pace is a little bit faster, which is kind of how it is for IB. And it's just a little bit more challenging. And so if you take an enriched English class, most likely, because they kind of view it as IB prep, you'll get an IB form. So that's how like we found out about this.
Information night?
Yeah, like an IB information night. And that's where we went. It was like on Education Road. I think that's
Yeah, so because we're part of the public school board, the information night was held at the education center up on the mountain some night in October, I think it was a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there were basically people talking about the program, its advantages. But the thing that I think that made us really think about it seriously was students who had been through IB talking about their experiences and why it was worthwhile and what they liked about the program. And Ariel has, I guess in the past 4 years, really become more interested and capable as a student. And so it was just a matter of curiosity at that point. But when we really thought about it some more and talked to the students, it was like, well, why not try it? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You can always go back. It's sort of like when I tell people to try academic, or even Tracy, when you're saying, if you have your university stuff, you can apply for college. It's sort of like, if you shoot for the highest one, you can always sort of fall back on the other ones. But if you don't try it, you won't, it's harder to jump up, kind of thing. So Ariel, maybe you can talk about the process of actually deciding and planning to be an IB.
Well, yeah, it was like the information night when we had gone and spoken to students, because
You gotta move forward.
oh yeah, I don't know if other people have had this experience, but when I first learned about IB, people would say it's useless. It only works if like you're in Europe and stuff. Not actually the case. Also, like, yeah, so they'd say, no, it's actually not useless. It's more like what my mom said, like college university prep. It's basically a little bit kind of first year university stuff, a little bit, depending on what subject you take. And so just hearing students talk about their experience of, yeah, it's challenging, but it's worth it because it makes you, it forces you to actually learn time management skills and like optimize your time. And then also just, yeah, you're learning a lot more. You're kind of learning how to learn over again, I guess, if you don't know already, which I think is really good, especially if you want to go to university, because it prepares you for the pace, the workload, kind of how college professors work with the material they give you and how they set deadlines and stuff. I don't know, just a lot more insight into how that works. And so hearing all that, you know, they didn't make it sound like it was some horrible thing that you should just like run away from skiing towards the hills, you know? So it sounded really appealing to me. And then just over the past couple of years, I had time to kind of mull it over a little bit more and say, well, do I want to do IB? Am I prepared for the workload? And yeah, like I decided that I was. You only need really like one prerequisite for it or requirement, which is functions.
So the grade 11 functions.
Yeah. Just trying to close a gap. So it's not like you have to do a lot of prep. There are a lot of people in grade 9 that do a lot of prep for it. Like they just get ahead in their credits and take a lot of summer school courses or like extra courses in higher grades. But that's like, it's not required. So yeah, just seeing that it's actually really easy to get in, that made me want to do it. Of course, there's the barrier with money, I think maybe a little bit, because it is quite a large sum.
There is a cost. So it costs, at least in the 2 schools that it's offered here, it's $600 per term. So it ends up being about $2,400 for the 2 years if you look at 4 terms. So that's a cost that is not covered. I think schools have said that if you do have financial challenges, you can ask them for assistance, but it's something to really take into consideration if you want to consider it. I mean, we had to sort of consider it as a family, is this something we can do? What does it mean? So it is a pretty, you know, for some families, maybe it's not a big commitment, but for ours, it was something we had to think about and say, yep, we're willing to make that investment to pay over and above what regular high school would be. Another bonus is that you get 3 diplomas at the end. 3. Well, you'll have your French immersion.
Oh yeah, depending on, you get like your regular high school one, then you get the IB one. I'm in French immersion, so I don't know if it's more of just like a certificate that I did French. So you get that extra bonus. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot.
You'll come after.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Anne-Marie, in terms of like having been a teacher, or anything that we're missing about it? Because we're still fairly new in it. She just started like, what?
Oh wait, I remembered something.
Oh wait, she remembered.
Okay, go ahead.
The workload.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Like well, so far I've gotten homework every day. I'm working for hours on end just doing homework, but the material in itself is not harder necessarily. You have to know like a lot more detail, but it's not like some impossible thing, you know, that like you have to work at hours on end to understand. I mean, I haven't started the math course yet, so, you know, we'll see. But so far with the current courses I'm taking, it's just the workload that's a lot. So like you definitely have to prioritize what you want to do. And so like if you're used to just spending time with your friends every day, you know, not doing homework.
Or gaming, or...
You can't do that, you know, because in the long run, it's really not going to help you. Sure, your exams aren't going to be like in January when they usually are, like everybody else. Maybe one exam, geography. But yeah, you have to like prioritize your time and actually study and do the work. Otherwise, it's not.
And organize yourself too.
Yeah, and organize. Otherwise, it's not going to pay off. Yeah.
Yeah. Ariel, you did a great job.
Thanks.
You did a good job covering it, for sure, from a student perspective. And Celeste, it's great to hear the parents' perspective as well, because so as I mentioned earlier, I did teach IB. I taught it at an international school in Qatar, in the Middle East. And the purpose for students to take an IB course while they're in developing countries or outside of Europe, outside of North America, is most likely so to help them get into post-secondary, universities, post-secondary education abroad, because it's a standard system. So there are thousands of schools that teach the IB curriculum, and you all have to follow the same criteria when it comes to marking. So in theory, everyone who receives that diploma, as Ariel talked about earlier, has had that same rigorous criteria that was met and followed. In addition to the curriculum for IB, a lot of the subjects are very similar to when you're in high school. So there are 6 subject groups. So the arts, mathematics, science, individual and society, which is like a geography, history type of thing, humanities, language acquisition, and study of language and literature. There's also 3 core elements, which one of them is theory of knowledge, or TOK, which is kind of like a philosophy course. So it teaches you how to question and how to see things from a different perspective. So for instance, and there could be some really crazy debates that you might have. If you're looking at an orange, how do you know that it's an orange? Is this really an orange? Is it not an orange? Where does it come? So those types of things. And then you have to be able to prove your argument. They have something called the extended essay, where you have to, I believe it's like 2,000 to 4,000 words or something like that. Yeah, which they'll talk about, I'm sure for you, Ariel, a little bit later. And that is a really big one, because a big reason as to why you practice a lot of these skills within the IB courses and the rigor is, as we already heard, it is a university prep. And when you get to university, depending on your courses, a big part of it is learning how to write an essay, learning how to communicate with your words. You're not always going to be there with your teachers to explain fully your thoughts. So you need to be able to articulate all of your ideas on paper. And then there's something called the creativity, action, and service, which was one of my favorite aspects of IB, because it allows you to come up with, a project that you would like to use to serve either the community, and you're the captain of your own ship. You're the leader. You come up with the goal, you come up with the objectives. So for instance, some of my students in the past, they decided that they wanted to fundraise to help a pediatric unit at the hospital. So what they did was they came back to the school, they did a fundraising competition. I believe it was an egg drop competition. And everyone who wanted to participate in the egg drop competition, they had to pay money for entry. And then all of the student body, they got to come and watch. And all of the money that was raised, she donated to the hospital. But there's so many different ideas that you can come up with. As Ariel mentioned, it is a very rigorous program, because you are working so hard to learn those study skills for you to write your exam. And your exam it's a standard exam that is, it's administered on the same day across all of the different IB schools, and then it's mailed away. Your teachers have nothing to do with it. So it's mailed away, and it is graded by an external person. I know this because I was one of those external people once upon a time. So you have a rubric that you receive, and you receive exams I could receive exams from Norway or Finland, and I have to grade them based on what it is that I see and the standard that I'm given. The benefits of taking IB in Canada, as we already mentioned, yes, it's a university prep course, but I would say it's also it's a life prep course, because as Celeste and Ariel mentioned, I'm a firm believer in you can always go backwards. You can always go backwards in life. You already know what you know, what you've already experienced. So why not try something new? It will challenge you in ways that you would have never even imagined, but you also learn how to cope, which goes back to Tracy's presentation. Like, you learn how to create a support system through your peers, through your teachers, through external people. For instance, if you're working on your CAS project, your creativity, action, and service project, and it's an experience that you'll have forever. So I think that's about it for from my teaching perspective.
There was a question here about how does this help in the long run versus just staying in regular high school, especially since you have to pay and high school is free.
Yeah, good question.
That is fair. I mean, for all of the points that you were just saying, Anne-Marie, I mean, the advantages, like, I think something that you were saying last week, even just what you're learning, you're like, wow, why isn't everybody being taught this way?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a lot more worthwhile. I mean, because something I've always, a complaint of mine for school, especially like just regular OSSC, is just like, I'm not actually learning anything. I'm just learning how to like navigate the system and get the marks. And with IB, you can't be so sneaky, you know. You can't like get away with like looking up answers online and finding the same sheet that your teacher used with just all the answer keys, you know. With IB, it's a lot more, well, it's a lot more difficult, I'd say like test wise and stuff you're actually being evaluated on. Of course, it's just regular textbook work, but again, if you really prioritize learning, I guess, and wanting to gain lifelong skills on how to learn, and just also, I think a really big thing is like critical thinking skills, which I think is something our society is lacking just a little bit. You know, like being able to formulate your own opinions and think for yourself, and then argue those opinions concisely, you know. So just that, I definitely do agree, like, like what's the point if high school's free, you know, and you have to pay for this? Like, what are you really gaining out of it? But then also, like what my mom said, you don't necessarily have to pay. What was it? Yeah, like you can get like financial assistance from the school, and I don't think it'd like be that big of a deal for the school anyways.
It's worth asking anyway.
Yeah, it's at least worth asking.
And then there's another advantage too, is I know some schools, if you have your IB diploma, sort of say like McGill, you can start in second year depending on how well you do. And I know that even at McMaster, if you come in with the IB marks, like when you're evaluated for McMaster, they won't look at your IB scores. They'll be converted into OSSD scores, which generally make them pretty high because the IB marking system is intensely rigorous. It's out of 7, and apparently a 5 is great. But once you're accepted at MAC and you can show your professors that you've had IB experience, then you can be waived or given credit for some of the courses that are required. So you can end up saving in the long run if you do well, and then you're in university and you're going to be more prepared for it anyway, and universities are willing to waive some of their requirements, or at least give you some prior credit for your prior learning because you're an IB student.
Yeah, I agree to everything that Celeste and Ariel said. And in addition to that, I've spoken to some IB students who have gone into university, and just from I guess either social and emotional perspective, or even an academic perspective, they found often first year of university or college is really challenging. It's one of the most difficult years, I think, in your life, because you're not used. Typically, you're used to seeing the same teachers, you're following the same students, you're used to that setting. Whereas in university, you have more freedom, your classes are so spaced apart, or in college, the same thing. However, students who have completed the IB program successfully found that the first year, even the second year, to be a breeze, to be honest, because they've had, when we talk about the prep course, this is what we mean by it. Like, it teaches you how to organize your time. It teaches you how to communicate with your professors. It teaches you, this is a big one we heard in both presentations, it teaches you to respect your deadlines. This is one of the main reasons why a lot of students don't do well, is because they have trouble with the deadlines and organizing their time. So that's another advantage for you as well for taking the IB program. If you want a little taste of what university is like, you can take it. You can experience this while you're in high school.
And you can take courses. You don't have to do the full diploma. You can do the certificates.
There's also certificates. You don't have to do the diploma. Like, if you want the diploma, sure, but like there's also just like other courses, say like the arts or just any course.
So you're taking a segment of it. You're not taking the whole thing.
Yeah. Also, I think a big thing I've seen, like, say on a lot of forums and just within like the IB community, is like, yeah, sure, IB is going to be really hard and there's going to be times where you hate it, but there has to be like a certain kind of appreciation and desire to want to do it, you know, to do it, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, so like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Don't feel like pressured to have to do it just because you get all these benefits, I guess, you know, because like you have to kind of enjoy it a little bit to actually succeed in a way, or at least, yeah, just get through it, because it is really challenging.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ariel. IB is not for everyone. Yeah. We're not here to promote IB, the curriculum or anything. We're here just to simply share the information and let everyone know that you have options. You have many choices. So feel free to think about and to learn more about IB. Ariel, what school do you go? Actually, you can go to the school board website, I'm sure. And
yeah. There's only 2 schools in Hamilton that offer IB, and it's Ancaster High and Westdale.
Okay.
But you can apply, like, no matter what school you go to, what board, if you want to do IB, you can apply and go.
You'll just end up switching schools.
Yeah, you'll just switch schools. And now you'll still be at home anyway, so.
Exactly.
Are there any questions for Ariel, Celeste, myself about IB? Or any follow-up questions about college for Tracy? Are there any questions coming from Facebook, Priya? No. Okay. Oh.
Sure. No, we're good.
Okay. Calvin, does someone have a question? Okay, think about it. We're still here. Okay, so Ariel, thank you for your time.
No problem.
And please, now at least I am. I'm so curious about your journey. So keep us up to date with what's gonna happen. Okay. All right, Priya, do you have anything else that you'd like to add before?
No, I think that's great. Ariel, thank you. Celeste, thank you. Tracy. And for the students and anyone watching, Celeste and Tracy have both shared their contact information, or you can always contact Anne-Marie and myself or Sona, and we can connect you. And we'll continue having these conversations as we go. And a lot of people had questions today about scholarships and bursaries. Tomorrow, the workshop at 4:30 is covering how do I pay for post-secondary. So if you're really interested, tune in tomorrow at 4:30. We have somebody from Wallet Wiz talking about financial literacy and how to pay for post-secondary.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if Kelvin had a...
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Kelvin, do you have a question before we end?
No, this is Priscilla. Just, yeah, it was quite informative. So thanks to all the presenters.
No problem. You're welcome.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Okay, that's great. So yes, agreed. Thank you to all the presenters. And like I said, sometimes with this type of information, you need time for it to process. So in the days coming up or weeks coming up, if you have additional questions, feel free to share them with myself, Sona, or Priya, and then we'll share them with the appropriate person, okay? All right. Thank you. On behalf, oh, we really appreciate, oh, that's nice. Thank you, Jalal. It says, we really appreciate this information. That's awesome. Very good. And we have a thank you. Okay. So on behalf of Empowerment Squared, we thank you all for joining us today. And we do, as Priya mentioned, tomorrow we do have another workshop coming up, which we hope that you all register or share, spread the word. If you enjoyed this workshop, share the information, invite other folks to join us, because that's how we empower each other, really, right? Instead of hoarding the information. Thank you everyone for your time, and look forward to seeing you later. Take care. Bye.